I was taken down into a deep, deep state of regression and went back to the time of the death in my previous life in 1916. I was a young British soldier by the name of Brian, came from Devon in England, fought in France in the dreadful trench warfare there. On the 1st of July, the 1st of July 1916, the famous Battle of the Somme started, and that was absolute massacre. The British, the Scottish, the Canadians, even Australians, they were all charging the German lines, and tens of thousands of them died. And a lot died on that very first day, including me and my former life as Brian.
The A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast.
I was just lying there, and I felt that all my mates had left me, and I was there. I was just left to die. And just sort of lying there for several hours, and then all of a sudden, well, that was in that time, my soul left my body, because I looked up and, wondering what was going on, I suddenly saw my grandmother. The spirit of my grandmother, as it turned out. Because I said to her, what are you doing here? You know, it's by battlefield. It's not for little old ladies. Get down, the Germans will see you. And then she just smiled and looked at me and said, follow me. And I suddenly realized my grandmother had died several years beforehand. So I too must have died in the Battle of the Somme. And that was a very, I won't say a sobering moment, but certainly a moment of revelation. And even thinking back on it now, because I was regressed for this quite a few years ago. And when I was writing this book of Afterlife, Uncovering the Secrets of Life After Death, and it still comes back to me now. It's an amazing feeling. I can go through it again, and I can visualize certain things that are coming straight through to me here now. And I wasn't planning on doing that, actually, because I wasn't exactly sure where we were going in today's little chat, AJ. So, yeah, thank you for taking me back there, because it was a tremendous moment, transitional moment in my lifetime. The tunnel experience is quite common for people to go through a kind of tunnel. It's a sensation of being in a tunnel. Not everybody does. In my later research show that they just drift away from their body, and they see the body and the earth sort of drifting away beneath them. But in many, many cases, we do have that tunnel experience. For me, it was like going on a tram ride that I'd remembered with my grandmother at the time, or a train ride. And all I could see was these sort of flashing lights going past me. And you know, going down a tunnel, sometimes you'll see the lights if you're in a train. The lights are going woo, woo, past you like that. Now, that stayed with me, because as a medium now, and I do work as a medium as well, when I want to connect with the other side, I actually close my eyes, do a meditation, and I find myself going into that exact same experience. And it's sort of like a universe. It's connecting from the earth plane across to the other side. And that's exactly what I did with Brian. And I still use it to today. I was taken and met by my grandmother, of course. She took me then into where she was actually residing. And the majority of people go to this particular area, and it is very much like being on Earth. There are meadows and trees and all sorts of things, and then villages, people, and it's like just going to a different part of Earth. But the peace, that's the whole thing. There's so much peace there and quiet. It's like a staging post, really. And quite often they'll be met by family. They might be met by a spiritual entity, their guide or whatever. But it is a kind of meeting place. It's the first staging post, if you like, on the journey. So she took me off to her place, and there were a few people there that I knew, a few spirits, and she actually had a nice big fruit cake that she'd made and a big pot of tea. And I met a few people there, including a couple of mates who died in the trenches before me. and various other people. And that was my first moments or hours, because there's no such thing as time in the afterlife. So you're just there. And things just unfold naturally. So I had my fruitcake, met a few people, got very tired. So then my grandmother said, okay, everybody's going now. You just go and rest, lie down. And that's exactly what I did. But that was the very first crossing point. As for this notion of heaven and hell, it just is not. It's not there because it's prescribed by various organizations, shall we say, just for control. Yes, there are many, many levels and spheres within the astral planes. And we do have the lower astral planes where most of us go to, and we can progress in various levels there. But there are the lower aspects, but it's not hell. There's no sort of demons there with pitchforks sticking in there and say eternal hell and you'll go over here into a pit of fire. I mean, all that scary fear-mongering sort of stuff, that just doesn't happen, according to all of my contacts over there and all my subsequent research after writing 3 books about the afterlife. The reality is we go back to a staging post, and then we do move on to where the soul, the evolution of our soul takes us to. Now, sometimes we might be fairly early on in our soul's journey, and we may have done some things that we really regret. So we'll go to that level that applies to us. No pitchforks, no demons, no eternal flames, no areas where we can be helped. And people, there are sort of lower areas where really, truly evil people go to, but they are re-educated, they're helped. It's not a re-education camp that we might be hearing about, we're tortured and everything. Forget all that. It's all done with love and help. That gets on to the other question. What about religion? Well, every contact I've had on the other side says there is no religion in the afterlife. No religion. Yes, we have a divine being. We have all sorts of things, but you don't go over there and suddenly become part of a congregation and everything like that. People will go over there expecting that, but after a while they'll realize that there's people on the spirits that are coming to them and saying, look, there's a lot more than this, a lot more. Come on, and we'll show you a bit more. And gradually they're able to move on, and they realize that we are all one. We are not divided by religion. We are not divided by beliefs and fears and everything like that. That we are all part of a one spirit, a giant spirit that is part of the universal spirit. And we are little parts of that. And we're here to help each other. And we're helping each other on the other side. We're working together. It's all teamwork. So as for this division and hatred, and I'm better than you because I believe in this and you don't believe in that, that's earthly stuff. We've got to move beyond that. That's the big message, or one of the big messages that I found in my connection with the afterlife. And we are still working to improve ourselves all the time. And that's basically what life is all about. Coming down here, having all these experiences, making our mistakes, learning, clearing up some of the mistakes we've brought back from previous lives, so that we can improve and we can move on and we can gradually move higher in the astral realms, and then to be able to not have to come back to Earth. Eventually, we can reach that stage where we really don't have to come back. We've had all the experiences. There are many, 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 many more experiences in the spirit world and beyond, into many other worlds as well. So it's a vast question out there, AJ. It's something that, but I can't say that this is exactly what happens all across the afterlife world, because I've only been shown a certain amount, but enough to be able to reassure people that, yes, we are part of a team. We are helped. We are looked after. We're not punished. We're not shoved into a boiling pit of tar and for the rest of eternity. So, all of that stuff, forget it. Just forget it. Greece, Rome, Egypt, of course, they knew about life after death. They knew that there was more to life than just being on this planet here. Okay. There's nothing new about all of this. I mean, yeah, we're going through transitional times, as I said, and more people are aware because they're looking for answers. Meditation, understanding life after death, all of those sort of things, they've been there, but they've never been encouraged. Now, all of a sudden, it's opened up. We've got the internet, we've got all sorts of communications. I mean, you and I could not be having this conversation via Zoom from one side of the world to the other 20 odd years ago, probably not even 10 years ago. So all of the areas that are opening up, that is part of where we are now. So we are going through an evolution, I guess. And I know what you mean about when I was growing up as a kid. You went off to church as a kid, or Sunday school, as we called it here, and various things like that. And nobody ever talked about that. In Australia, as you were growing up, you went to school, you got a job afterwards, you went on, you met somebody, you raised a family. It was all very sort of pedestrian. But now people are wanting more, they're looking for more. And I think that the more information that's around and available through the internet, through programs like you're running here and the ones that I'm doing as well, when they're available and they hear about them, they can suddenly think, oh, these are not taboo subjects. We can actually learn about this. And there are so many books being written these days, so many books, and even TV shows and things like that, where they're embracing a lot of these questions about life after death, about past lives, about time travel, all of these things. People are looking, they're ready. And I think that's what's happening.
Hi, I'm Paul Perry. I just finished re-releasing a book I wrote with Dr. Raymond Moody in 1990. The book is called Reunions. I want to thank AJ Parr for helping with the technical aspects of doing this book, doing the layout, and he had great advice on how to do a new cover, which he did, and it's beautiful. And all the technical aspects of reissuing a book, and how to use Kindle Direct, which is a wonderful service, and communicating with Kindle Direct. But he was also more than that. He was moral support. He would read through the book, he would fact check, he did proofing for the book, and he made a number of really brilliant suggestions for editorial changes. So I highly recommend working with AJ Parr, and I'll be doing more books with him in the future. So thank you, AJ. I'll be dealing with you a lot more.
If you're interested in publishing your book in Amazon, contact me, and my publishing team and I will lend you a friendly hand. Send your email to ajparbooks@gmail.com. That's ajparbooks@gmail.com. Stairway to Heaven, 25 near-death experiences about our encounters with God, Jesus, and paradise. Journalistic research on real cases by A.J. Parr.
I looked down, there's no body, there's no me, but I felt just like me. And my first thoughts was, wow, this must be heaven. The whole Bible, Jesus, God thing, it's really true. And I said, if you're praying and you talk to God, it's just like that. It's God, you need to send people back so they can tell people it's real. Send some back. They have no idea this is real.
So there was quite a bunch of activity that they were doing during this time. And so, I know they were working on me really hard, but the whole time that I was gone, I went to heaven. So as far as what I was experiencing, it was wonderful, and I was able to see God and to see Jesus.
I turned and I said to this one leader character who had come and collected me, I said, who are you? Who are you exactly? You're not the same as these, because he was not the same as the other angels. And he seemed to be the one that was emanating this incredible love more than anyone else. And he just looked at me and said, I am the one you call Lord. Now, for me, there's only one person in all of history that I call Lord, and that's Jesus. And this was Jesus that I was sitting in front of. And that really did overwhelm me at that point.
I remember feeling all this light, seeing light all around me. And I was just like, when you're in a deep state of meditation, when you go so deep that you don't see what's around you, you just become one with the light. So that's what happened to me. I became one with the light.
At that point, I was turned upward, my spirit was, and I was aiming towards the sky.
and I saw a beautiful, bright white, but it isn't a white that we can describe. So it's the brightest light you could imagine here on Earth, but without being blinding.
I cannot die right now. You take me back. I have a lot to do right now. I said, like, no, you make a promise to me and you need to fulfill your promise. So welcome to heaven. From today, you're part of me and part of all of them. From today, you start walking with me and walking with all of them. Love is the most powerful force in the universe, and that's what I'm going to unite the whole humanity again. And then he said, okay, he put his hands around me and said, let's do a live review.
I just really became fascinated with the light and became just the joy and the love of God and just the peace of God just began to wash over me. And I just began to look at my arms, and, you know, it's not a light like you just turn on. I mean, this light had like particles. It was just like moving and just covering my arms and my body.
When I was enveloped with that bliss and joy, at first it was all just a bright, warm light. And then it started to like settle down and take form. And it felt like I was in a cathedral, maybe with the marble walls and high ceiling or something, but it was still kind of misty looking. And I know that I had looked over to the right and I saw a good size, like an architect's table with a great big, huge book, like a huge Bible or something, open about halfway. And I remember somebody telling me what was in that book. And I believe it was my life. And I was only halfway through.
Stairway to Heaven, 25 near-death experiences about encounters with God, Jesus, and Paradise. Journalistic research on real cases by A.J. Parr.
This has been the A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.